Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. 100 Thieves have confirmed their full roster for next season's VCT action, confirming Cryo has joined a few weeks ago, now doubling down on what the rest of the roster will be. But also Dapr, potentially of the Sentinels bench, has confirmed that he would like to play an Ascension, especially if Sinatraa plays there as well, because he reckons Sinatraa will be hands down the best player in that tier 2 scene. Very much interested your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty to discuss today. As always, firstly, a roster change announced from Crazy Raccoon, letting ShahZaM go to Detonation Gaming. Detonation Gaming have now confirmed their full roster. This got a lot of traction from the Japanese scene because the Japanese scene is absolutely out of control. But this is the full roster. Detonation Gaming, VALORANT roster 2023. Anthem's coming in. ShahZaM's coming in, of course, as we saw from Crazy Raccoon. Suggest as well some players that I'm not fully familiar with. Of course, Take as well, even though I'm for sure pronouncing that wrong. And then cNed is the final player on the team. I'm not even going to try and pronounce these names because it's just too challenging for me. But yeah, I'm sure you guys get the picture. That's the Detonation Gaming Masterclass roster for next season. So everything's been rumored the last couple of weeks. That is now officially confirmed. Some mix, well, of course, 6-man team, some mix of South Korean players and Japanese players, of course, as is kind of traditional for the region at times. And then Zeta Division also confirming their team for next season. Similar team, of course, to last time round. But yeah, they've got Laz, Dephh, TenZ, of course, returning, Crow, Sugar Zero, and then Bars as their backup or substitute player as well. So this got a lot of traction also. So yeah, Zeta Division also making some progress in their respective region and looking forward to seeing all the battles in that region as well going forward to the upcoming season. Quick note as well on the kind of Valorant regional leagues, or well, what is now the Valorant Challengers League. So the Ascension League is tier 2. The Challengers League is effectively the tier 3. Now the Challengers League East, also known as Surge, is going to have Ukraine, Moldova and Georgia getting involved in that. So pretty interesting stuff. There's been some talk about the kind of Challengers scene in the Ascension League as well, and the fact that Riot are really pushing this kind of international idea where you've got all these different regions and different countries that can play, and then some are saying, well, look, because you're allowing all these different countries, it means that there isn't so much talent that can be utilized from the better countries, and therefore you don't always get the best talent over the entirety of the league, which is an interesting perspective. But you know, there's always going to be a conflict there between getting more countries involved for the future of Valorant, but also making sure that you still represent the best players in that particular region that might then be, you know, have a difficult time because they're not from certain countries that have maybe weaker competition as it stands. So yeah, definitely intrigued your thoughts on that in the comment section below. But that is one further update. And this also real quick from Avova confirming that, well, he's signed a contract going forwards. This we think is with the Heretics, like, yeah, formerly, of course, of G2. A lot of that G2 core moving over to Heretics for the upcoming season makes a fair bit of sense. But yes, indeed, Avova will be signing that deal. And just before we look at that, actually, let's talk 100 Thieves. Confirmation from the entire 100 Thieves camp last night. DDK and Mike's now, of course, the new head coach after Sean Gers has stepped away as to what the roster's going to be. They talked a fair few things about stats and analytics and everything, but look, at the end of the day, they're doubling down on Stellar. That was kind of the big question here. Asuna, bang, there was no question there really, in my opinion. Derek, of course, as well in a similar boat. Cryo came in for Will. We saw that, of course, a couple of weeks ago now, but Stellar will be returning as the IGL. So obviously they have a lot of faith in Stellar. There has been some questions as to other IGLs from North America they could have gone for, a Valin, for example, a Xander, but I think on the whole, sticking with Stellar, given the experience he has with the team, makes sense. Their team did impressively well last season. They made the World Championship after a relatively short period of time, trying to build their team up to what it ended up being. Like qualifying for champs, winning the LCQ was incredibly impressive performance, really, given what people said about this team early on, and the fact that the likes of Ethan decided to leave this team when it was first being formed because he didn't really have the faith that they were going to be a winning squad. Of course, we think that Ethan's still going to go to Evil Geniuses, so he should still get a spot in tier 1, but yeah, obviously they proved a lot of people wrong, but still didn't have the greatest result of the World Championship, didn't make it out of their group. They needed to level up the team, and Cryo for Will is their key level up, but they're still committed to this project in the long term, that with those core guys, they can continue improving as a team. So Stella, Bang, Asuna, Cryo, and Derek, that is the team of 5. No confirmation as yet on who the 6th man is going to be. Pretty interesting, as most teams confirm, especially given the fact that we already knew Cryo, we already knew that these other guys were staying. So, you know, the fact that they haven't confirmed their 6th man here is pretty interesting, because we saw that Bang and Will were having a bit of a back and forth a couple of days ago. Whether Will could be the 6th man, it's difficult really, because your 6th man, you really want him to be like a player that's very versatile, right? And if you don't have a player like that, then it can be pretty challenging to figure out what the plan is. But keeping Bang to me was kind of a no-brainer as well. There was that discussion early on about, okay, if Marved is available, what do they do there? But I thought an interesting stat here from Wellsys suggests interesting that, 100 Thieves only won 28% of their rounds when Bang got 0 kills. So if he died without getting a single kill, then they basically lost every single round. Not every single round, but they lost a vast majority of their rounds. That ranks 71st out of 80 players. So, one of the most important players in the entire VCT that, Bang was so important that if Bang died with no kills, the team lost almost all of their rounds, whereas other controllers, if they died without getting a kill, their team still won about 40% of the rounds. So shows that Bang, integral part of that team, and honestly, these guys, Bang especially, even Derek and the others, should only continue to improve, and if Crow can as well, then I think 100 Thieves are a really scary team. So I do really like the roster. I think that their upgrade makes sense. Crow for Will, they're not going to mess around with the chemistry of the rest of the team. I do have my concerns that with no Sean Gares, things might be a bit different from a coaching perspective, but I believe they are going to bring in more assistant guys, and now they've got those first few months under their belt as an organization, as a team, then they should be well positioned to double down on that and keep improving next season. So not quite as you look at the roster, you're not quite as blown away as you are maybe by Cloud9 or a Sentinels, but still I think they can be very competitive in the North America VCT for next season. They'll be of course among these rosters for next season, and worth noting here actually, so as we can see, that's Avova on the Team Heretic squad with Mixwell officially being confirmed already. But on the left hand side we have some changes to EG. This is very small, but I'll just mention it for you guys. So 100 Thieves has now been confirmed, but Jorgemo Ethan, we still believe is kind of like a 70% chance that she's going to join EG. Boostio Com are going to stay, and then the final player is actually a kind of a toss-up between either Superman or Valin. Really interesting also from a roles perspective, but I guess they're going to trial both and see what happens here. So Superman we thought was linked here. We thought that also BCJ could have been an option for EG, but now Valin is also in conversation. So this is far from guarantees. This is like a 50% chance that even one of these guys joins, I suppose, but still Valin in conversation. So the guard player, of course, the guard IGL might be joining EG, as their IGL is a possibility. So that's an interesting one, I think, for sure. And we still don't have all the confirmations here. For example, Artis on NRG and the rest of the guys still not quite yet locked in. And we can see what we saw with Valin actually reflected here with the guards, because now Valin has a lower percentage chance, maybe only a 20% chance of returning here to the guards with these other guys. So yeah, there's a decent chance that they will lose their IGL, the guards, and he might go to Evil Geniuses for the upcoming season. And also just another name, I think, with EU, BCJ, and Sabrosa thrown here into the mix at TSM. So they're having conversations with these guys, and that is the current plan for many of these teams going forwards. Let's talk Dapr then and the Ascension League. Interesting question that Dapr's got to answer going forwards, because of course Sick is going to be the substitute player for Sentinels. What's going to happen with Dapr? Is he going to be there as well as another sub, or is he going to have to go to tier 2 and grind through Ascension? If he does, the player he'd most like to play with, he reckons, is Sinatraa. He reckons if Sinatraa did play tier 2, he'd be the best player bar none, but whether he'll decide to, that's another question.
What's your ideal teammate to play if you play in Ascension? Sinatraa. Would Sinatraa play in Ascension, be the best player in there? Friday night, in the fight, but it's probably not worth it for him, so understandably.
So is it worth it for Sinatraa to go down there and play Ascension? It depends on the team. Of course, there have been Zoms and the like talking about, what if they could get Zoms and, Dapr and even Shroud and Sinatraa form a team, they could do pretty well. Of course, Dapr also said elsewhere that, look, he wants to win Ascension. He doesn't want to go down there just to compete for the sake of it. If he thinks he can win with a team, he'll go for it. And he thinks that's more likely if Sinatraa is an option. So will Sinatraa do it? Will Riot be happy with him doing it right? I don't know. Will another organization give Sinatraa an opportunity to compete in tier 2? That's also another question as well. So definitely tweet your thoughts on that one in the comment section below. But yeah, if Sinatraa did compete in tier 2, would he just be straight up the best player, right? It's an interesting question. I know a lot of people want to see Sinatraa back. It wasn't going to happen in tier 1. But look, if an organization gives him a shot in tier 2, it could still happen. But look, if he doesn't get into tier 2 now, then it's is there ever going to be a time where Sinatraa returns? And also, if there is no Sinatraa, will there be a Dapr, right? Will Dapr go for it? Will he compete in tier 2? Will he stay on Sen as a content creator or whatever? Because we could lose a lot of big personalities really from the kind of competing circuits if it goes as it presently looks like it may well go. So definitely tweet your perspective on that one in the comment section below. A couple of things to finish out with actually from Valin quickly, because there were some discussions on Chamber and whether they should nerf him or not. And actually, as Valin says, his kind of base concept of his ability, his kind of teleport really is so powerful that how do you really nerf it without making it, without putting it too far the other way? And there was some interesting discussion on this, and I think it's interesting really that MCE, formerly of the Guard, now he's on Cloud9, of course, as their new coach. He was suggesting potentially in the past that, Chamber needs to go. But of course, now he's on Cloud9 with Yay, he may well have a different opinion. But actually, I thought he had an interesting take here. Revert him to what he was before, make him even better. The game is more exciting with Chamber, and you see a bunch of comps that you wouldn't get to see if he wasn't viable. If you hate Chamber, you just aren't able to understand his brilliance and his effect on the rest of the meta. So, obviously difficult to tell how much he really believes this or how much he's saying this because he now has Yay under his commands over at the Cloud9 side. But interesting nonetheless, right? Is there a point there that with Chamber in the meta, you can do more with the rest of your composition if Chamber's kind of like a staple player, which he pretty much is at the moment. But Valen still seems to believe that Chamber needs to get nerfed. Of course, over time, they will potentially make some further additions. And we saw Yay even say when Chamber was initially nerfed that I think Yay said that it was going to be a pretty significant, it's going to be a pretty big deal. But it turned out wasn't really the case, right, going into the World Championship last season. But very much interested your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.